Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Coffee Time Again. We hope today's conversation offered meaningful insights and inspiration for your day. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe and share your thoughts through a review. Your feedback helps us continually improve and deliver value. For more engagement, contact with us on social media or visit www.coffee-time-again.com to explore past episodes and share your perspectives. For direct inquiries, reach us at host@coffee-time-again.com. Until next time, we wish you thought-provoking discussions and an excellent day ahead. This is your host signing off. We look forward to welcoming you back on Coffee Time Again.
Hello, America and the world, particularly America. How you doing this day? 2 days after Thanksgiving, getting ready for the Christmas season now. I see Christmas trees up already. Yuck. It's too early. Anyway, welcome to the show. This is Coffee Time Again, where conversations begin. And today we're going to have conversations with a gentleman who does conversations. Lots of them. And he's got an intriguing way of making it happen. And I want to hear more. I'm sure you do too. It's incredible what he's got to say. I talked to him briefly a couple of days ago and had him, of course, that was the pre-interview. So let's get on with the full interview and say, David, take it over.
Well, thank you so much, Dale. It's a pleasure to be on your program. Yes, conversations. I mean, they're at the core of everything that might be lacking in our society right now. And I'm an artist. I'm in New Mexico, and several years ago, it kind of dawned on me that we're getting, as a society, more and more divided. And how do we deal with coming back together and healing the divide? And I thought one of the subjects we rarely want to talk about is a taboo subject of politics. And I thought, well, how do we do that without getting in an argument? And that's what I've been exploring these last almost 10 years now. How do we have a political conversation with a stranger, somebody that we may disagree with, and do it without the outrage and they'll getting upset and all riled up?
Yeah, that's the difficult part.
And so through a lot of like experiments, I've uh, I've come to find my own way of how to speak to people and to talk to them without about politics without the outrage. And it's been most about listening and actively listening to what the other person has to say. Very simple stuff, just the will to listen to the opinions of others without getting triggered by some of the things they say.
Right. That active listening is a very important part of it. And a lot of people don't understand it. Would you mind explaining it to them a little bit?
Well, years ago, if somebody were to, let's say I'm on the left and I speak to somebody on the right, and they use certain words when we're talking about politics, and those words would get me profoundly upset because I disagree with them, and I would fuel my mind with what am I going to say next? How am I going to respond to that in order to prove my point, to make my point more valid than theirs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And there's really a loop there that never ends where our conversations are conflictual. We're in conflict, really, because I'm not there for that person. I'm there mostly just trying to be there for myself and to uphold what my beliefs are because I don't believe the other person's beliefs. And that was an impasse for quite a while. And I found that I had to engage people in person. It couldn't be done online because a lot of the outrage is on there. We feel the veil of the online, of our digital devices kind of covers us and we can say whatever we want without being found out. Uh, but when we're in person, there's some acts of civility that are important. So I found myself in public spaces, mostly in national parks. I would go to a national park and go in a free speech area, and I would ask random people if they would answer three non-confrontational political questions for me. Should I share those questions?
Be my guest.
They were non-confrontational, so they're not ones that have fact or opinion inside of them. And I would just ask people to tell me, how would you describe the political system of the United States of America? Then the person would respond, and I would listen and take it in and hear really what they had to say, not thinking of like, oh, I disagree with this or I disagree with that. Just really listening into trying to understand their perspective of things. It's a very broad question, so people would answer it any old way they want. And then the second one, I'd have asked them, describe your feelings or reactions to the current state of US politics. And people will respond to that, often finding that the first question and the second question had a lot of similarities. In that question, I would often find a word that I shared in common with them. They would be maybe saying that they're angry or upset, or they would use their faith in democracy or these things. And I try to remember what I had in common there. And finally, at the end, I'd ask them a third question, kind of like a game. Like, could you tell me, it said, finish the sentence. Politics in the United States, then finish the sentence. And they would tell me more. And I would listen in. And I would kind of fine tune what I had in common. And at the end, if I had nothing in common with them except this one word, I could then share with them and tell them, I disagree with pretty much everything you said because I'm that I'm a Trumpy or I'm a libtard or whatever
Yeah,
I am,
yeah,
But I'm also angry, and you said you were angry. I'm also angry. I just thought you should know that. I disagree with everything else you said, but I'm I have that. We have that in common, and that's the bridge. And and so I've been taking that bridge, that word, and using it in my artwork, which are often in art installations that I exhibit in public areas, often free speech areas in national parks, to explore in a deeper manner what those bridges can look like, and also to show that any of us could use those questions and find commonalities with other people. It's really an invitation just to talk to others, just like you do in your program by inviting people on, is
yeah,
to be there.
yeah. So, but it's not always anger. It's probably some other words other than anger sometimes.
You said the angles?
Yeah, anger.
Oh, the anger. Well, yeah, but you know what? That's the thing. I've had hundreds of these conversations over the years. And I've never had anger at me as much as anger at the idea of what they project out there, how their view of politics might be. And once again, I use politics because it's a taboo subject. And I see Americans being able to approach maybe any subject if we discuss in a civil and respectful manner with one another. That's our key to be able to discuss any subject, as long as we do it by listening to the other person. It's a very simple message if you want, but it's transformative because you have to be you really have to give a lot of yourself at that time. You have to be a little bit exposed in order to hear things that you may disagree with without jumping in there to throw in your 2 cents.
Right.
Yeah.
That takes some practice.
It does take practice. The research shows that that's what we should do. Um, but it's tough. It takes some self-control. But I think we all got it in us to
Mhm.
uh, to do that maybe with somebody we care for. It doesn't have to be a stranger, but maybe somebody that we broke up with, a family member or a friend because we had different political views. That person might be the person to practice those elements on. So that, in a nutshell, is that communication message I've used in my artwork. That I've used in my artwork over the last few years. And I use artwork because that's what I do as an artist. But there's different experiments I've been using that other people can use too.
Yeah, because I learned active listening in my training to be a counselor.
Yeah, tell
It's
me more
very
about that.
important. Hmm?
Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that active listening aspect as a counselor.
You've got to hear what's being said. And to hear what they've said, you've got to be active listening, which means you're not formulating your answers while they're talking,
Hmm.
concentrating on them and their words, their facial expressions, their body language, all of it. That's active listening because the body language can tell you so much more than their words can if you're really paying attention to it.
Mm.
So we learned that's one of the trainings that I received over the years. Several times I received different higher and higher and more intensity on it over the years. But uh, initially it was just pay attention to what they're saying. Then they brought in the body language. Then they brought in interpretation of the body language. And what I found out is we do it intuitively, we do it instinctively, and we do it instantaneously. You see
Mm.
somebody's body language and we interpret it that fast.
And if you're listening in that intuitive aspect or instantaneous aspect, I think it can only happen as we are present for the other person in that moment.
Right,
Because if we're thinking, if there's a process going in the back of our head at the same time, we're not doing any of those, are we?
right, we're
Yeah,
not.
we're too slow. It
Right.
slows us down.
Slows us down considerably. That's what I was taught to be at was active listening.
Hmm. Another aspect of I'd add in there is I've been exploring like using active listening with all the senses.
Hmm.
So that's brought me into some unusual places as an artist. If that word, for example, were anger, the one that
Yeah.
the person I'm speaking to would use, I would then take in another experiment, I'd take the word anger and ask people some unusual questions like, what does anger taste like? And people go, what? What do you mean taste like? That makes no sense. But then they start thinking about it like, well, anger tastes, maybe, like oversalted, cranberry sauce or something that maybe I shouldn't say on your program. They would
Yeah.
say they would
Yeah.
say things of what anger tastes like to them. But at that time, using the nonverbal, they usually look out in the distance, past me, off to the side, and then look down to one side as they're in another dimension, really. They've been transported to another part of themselves in order to explore what that feeling or that word encapsulated in an emotion, how it would be used in another sense, which could be, we could explore maybe what does it smell like? What type of object would it feel like? And through that exploration, it, 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 it brings us down, not down as much as inward, in order to be able to find a deeper meaning, explanation, an exploration of the self, being more in contact with himself, and calmer
Yeah.
than the digital feed, which is all very fast, full of images and
Right.
sounds, and I'm more. It's like savoring a nice cake
Yeah.
and a nice pie after at Thanksgiving while no
Yeah.
one's talking.
What does anger taste like? That's an interesting, or smell like, or
Hmm.
what does
Hmm.
it look like?
Yeah, what does it look like? Yeah,
And I think that's very intriguing. I never used that in
yeah.
my practice.
Those are liberties I can take,
Yeah.
but there's ones we could all explore. Is it necessary? I think in a way it is, but is it stronger than just having a conversation and following the cues, like you were saying, the nonverbal ones of being there and being present for the other? I mean, what do we attain from having this? What's the purpose of having these type of conversations? What is it? What is it to you, for example? Why have these in-depth conversations with a stranger or with somebody at this treatment center that you were talking
Yeah. Well, for me and my clients, it was to get to
about?
know them.
Hmm.
Because the more I knew about them, the easier it would be for me to get into them and start the recovery process
Mm,
for them.
mm. right, to be present for them.
Right.
So it's really an act of giving to the other.
Right.
Um, and I found that some people ask me just that. Why would I even? So in your case, you're saving probably a life as well.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
I'm meeting a stranger in a national park or in a public arena. I don't know. Right there, personally, I think I'm finding ways to save democracy in itself. Um, but to them, they sometimes wonder, what's the purpose? Why do you do this? And um, and so I'm not necessarily saving a life as you would be, um, but I'm I'm offering a an opportunity for somebody to mend relationships that they have with others, and others can also be the stranger and not just the people we agree with. Because I think we spend a lot of time agreeing with one another, and we're afraid of disagreeing because disagreeing brings us into a space of conflict.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be that way. If we're ready to give a little bit of time to democracy, that's the way I look at it, by giving a bit of our time and emotion and a lot of our personal self to be there to establish communication and maybe a habit, create a new habit of communicating on taboo subjects with people from a very wide background. And we create friendships and connections this way, which I think we're all striving more and more for at a time when we're more and more isolated behind our digital devices and programming.
Yeah.
It's deprogramming now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. In a way, it is deprogramming them from the.
Mm. Oh, you got one too. Yeah, deprogramming from that phone. I mean, that phone is made to draw us into certain subjects.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if I had mentioned when we had a chance to talk before the show a few days ago that 6 or 7 years ago I experimented by going on a social media platform. I went on Instagram and I dedicated myself for 1 full year every day to putting an abstract art video on the subject of disinformation and political polarization. They were very wacky. People might have watched these videos thinking, what does that even have to do with the subject? Very abstract. Um, but I would link with other groups, like not just artists. One day I would reach out to nurses, firemen, um, dentists, whatever, you can put a tag and get to certain groups. And the algorithm did not like that. I got banned half a dozen times, not for saying anything offensive. The only thing I could see is that I was acting like a bot
Mhm.
that was reaching outside of my box to another box, doing unrelated things.
Mhm.
So it doesn't like that. Social media wants to keep us in our box, our echo chamber, our in group. Don't exit, stay within it. And then we will feed you more and more outrageous stuff to get you to the extreme so you have a greater attention and keep on the platform. I did. It was a very painful experiment.
They
365
banned me
days. I
from
was so glad
YouTube.
it was finished.
They banned me from YouTube once.
Did they?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I was talking about uh, uh, coronavirus and all the
Oh,
silly rules
uh-huh.
we had to follow. And they said
Hmm.
I was just disinformation I was giving out.
That would be just yeah, they would have put that on a
But
disinformation
it
platform.
wasn't disinformation, but it was to them.
Right.
It's the truth. But
Hmm.
they couldn't see it. So
Right.
you're banned for a week, you do it again, you'll be banned forever.
Exactly. We're gonna hit you on the fingers, right, with a
Yeah.
ruler until you stop doing it because you spent so much time on the platform. You don't want to lose your presence there, that they can maneuver what you say and what you do. And that's not, to me, human connections. Yes, there's certain things we shouldn't probably do to offend the other if
Right.
it's meaningful and intentional. but we should have the possibility of saying what we like to say in a non-confrontational manner, even if it's a taboo subject, because it might not
Right.
be to you, right? And and by that exploration, I think we have a much wider dialogue. Um, I find myself speaking to people of just very diverse uh, backgrounds, cultural experience with different views. And I think I've certainly grown because of that, and it's been transformative to me. Um, because here's one thing. Years ago, I would not talk to people in public. I was an anonymous artist. I would never have come on a program like yours to speak out and show my face and speak and
Yeah.
share my thoughts. I would do it anonymously. So my message could be seen, but they didn't know who I was. Or my artist name, I had different artist names. Okay, done. But how do you confront political polarization or taboo subjects or non-communication among different groups without exposing yourself? And what is democracy when people are no longer speaking to one another? And I think it creates a concentration of power uh, in the media, in political figures, in those that control the means of communication. And it's very simple. We as individuals, as citizens, we can speak together from the bottom up, if you like. And those are methods that nobody can really stop, at least for now, in a democracy like ours, if it's done in person.
It's getting out there slowly but surely. Like
Yes,
I
slowly
told
but
you
surely.
the other day, is I've done this is I think the third show I've done, or fourth, of this people doing the same thing you're doing, only differently.
Mm,
I got one guy that brings a man for a dinner at a big round table.
mm,
He says that's
yeah,
critical. Round
the
table.
round table.
Yeah. And then another one is a one-on-one like you.
Mm,
And I can't remember the third one, but there's been at least three that I've done. So you're not the only one, and that's wonderful.
well, yeah, we got to come from many angles.
Yeah, and everybody coming from different angles, which is good.
Hmm. Yeah, we have to feel in a method that we find comfortable for us to express ourselves. That's why I was sharing that I wasn't able to do those things before,
Hmm.
but by coming out, if you like, and speaking face to face with people, I had to be more present and exhibit who my vulnerabilities, if you want,
Yeah,
with others, and to listen rather than trying to plug in what I had to say.
right.
Um, mm. If I may, there's
Okay.
another sub project that comes out of it. I call all this my project. I call it the triptych dialogue. It's the
Okay.
umbrella, if you want, of all these different experiments. And another one is included, and this anybody can do. And I'd be glad. I'm going to share how it's done. I repurpose um, recycled books. Libraries often have in their recycling bin, they'll have hundreds of books that get thrown away.
Yeah.
They smell of cigarettes, they got stains in them, the
Yeah.
binding's a little bit off. So they recycle them and you can reuse those. And I what I do is I take the book, I rip out a lot of the pages to make them lighter. And on the remaining pages, I stamp in those three political questions that I mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, because that's what I do. Those are the three
Yeah.
questions I use. I stamp them in, and on the front page, I have a little explanation about using the three questions with strangers, and about non-confrontational communication. Very succinct and fast summary of what to do. And
Yeah.
and this book just gets dropped off in a community center, a free library, those boxes where you put the free books, or a bench even. I've had people have it as a coffee table book or subject to conversation. And having dropped off thousands of these books, now I'm encountering even in different states a few people that have seen that book and that said, "Oh, you're the one that
Yeah.
made these books." So a little bit of validation there when that happens because they don't know who I am, where the
No.
book comes from. But people have been starting to have these conversations it's an invitation, right? Like it's a gimmick,
Mhm.
right? It's a gimmick,
It
uh,
works.
but it's a tool. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe you
it
should say
works.
tool. That's stronger.
So you're getting people from other states that notice your books,
The
and then they
books.
notice you.
Yeah, well, that's that just when that happens, you feel good because a lot of this is a selfless work, right?
Mhm.
So it's an act of giving that you don't necessarily see it, you don't get much in return, except
Right.
in the sense that it's been changed me as I'm more comfortable to speak to people in public or with strangers now, whereas before I'd avoid it at all costs.
Yeah. And
Why do
I
that?
was that way. I was that way before I became a counselor. And then all of a sudden I'm dealing with 10, 12 people at once, or I do a larger group and 15 or 20 or 25 in a lecture group. And I'm going, "Ah." And over the course of a couple of months, I got to like it getting better. Well, with time now, it doesn't bother me a bit. I can talk to 25, 30, 50, 2,000 and have no problems
Whew.
because I've trained myself not to be afraid of these people.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah, I would almost add that by the practice, we're no longer afraid of what we might say that's off.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and hence by small little practices that you might, you didn't get it right the first time, second time, third time gets better.
Yeah.
There's a certain ease of the habit of doing it, and that is
Mhm.
what I'm aiming for is that we all as I guess the guy that around the round table, the meals and stuff is to create different habits where we reestablish in-person communication
Mhm.
and bridging back to in a time when our devices are taking us apart, closer to people that think like us, yes,
Yes.
but not to the wider community, to all the facets of the community
Oh,
that creates our nation and our different countries. I mean, you could use this anywhere,
yeah.
you know. Uh,
I see it as, once we got all the back when I was a kid, the telephones were not portable.
right.
They were attached to a wall with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they're portable and so inclusive tied to the phone
Mhm.
rather than the phone tied to the wall.
And we're becoming it, aren't we?
Right.
We're very much part of it. Like the cyborg that
Yeah.
part of the machine. I don't even know where AI takes us in all this
Oh,
frightening proposition. Um, and it's I don't know if it's a battle that can be won. Maybe I don't want to see it as that type of conflict. Everybody that I've spoken to relates to it in some way. Like, oh, I know we need to do some more of this to talk and spend some time doing this and reaching out to other people, which is very encouraging. But the phone is a lot more, how do you say, well, it's entertaining.
yes,
It's a lot less work.
it is. And I use AI on the phone. I use it on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
I use it for for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Fact is, I've got you're being recorded not only on the recording, but I'm getting a transcript of the conversation, so I do the show notes off of it and make it very concise and understandable through the
And
use of
that to me
AI.
it seems like a very reasonable way to use the technology. Is no,
Yeah,
yeah. Uh, if it becomes our best friend and our confidant and our therapist, then I'd add in some people in there, some real people, because of
yeah,
the other senses. There's more than just the mind,
mm,
if we want to throw that one in as a sense. But there's the smell, the touch, and all these things that we've kind of forgotten. We don't use them,
yeah,
yeah, as
yeah,
much as we used to.
right. We don't, and we need to go back to that.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you have to smell something awful, but
No,
just to acknowledge that there is such a thing. It's part of our makeup.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And
I'm not suggesting we go sniff each other.
no, I'm not either. Bow wow.
But when it happens, it happens. Just
Yeah,
acknowledge like, oh, I can smell this, I can smell a person, or
yeah,
and just acknowledge to yourself, like, oh, that's interesting, you know.
yeah.
Um,
You don't have to make a big deal out of it.
Although
Uh,
sometimes you might have to.
it's one of those questions that I haven't asked
Uh,
yet. In fact, I
mm,
haven't answered any of them. But this
mm.
one is, why is it important to listen?
Why is it important to listen? Right. Well, well, to me, to listen is to reach out to humanity, um, to what is deeper within oneself. It's to listen to, first of all, to quiet the discussion that we have in our minds that's ongoing, in order to be present to the other, because I feel, spiritually that we're all connected.
Yeah. Now
So
you brought up
listening is that.
spirituality.
Yeah.
We are connected,
Mm,
not just us, but the animals
mm,
and the plants. We're all connected in some way or another. And I don't know exactly how it's connected. I'm not a scientist or anything, but
mm,
we are connected.
mm.
And that's what brings us to this planet Earth, which is connected to us and we're connected to it. There are some people that believe that Earth is a living organism. And
I,
so,
I feel the same way. Um, and I think an expression, and that's one of the reasons I've chosen to do my art, the triptych dialogue in public spaces in national parks. There
mm,
is the element of nature being there, and the people I speak to, they're not as busy. They don't have a place to necessarily to drive to, a job to finish, an anxiety with all that mail that just came in or whatever.
yeah,
And there's it's a moment for a possibility to, like you said earlier, for listening and connection. Um, so that is a good place for it to happen. But if we don't have that space, is to choose it wisely, is to choose a moment where there are fewer distractions in order to have those conversations.
yeah,
So, I wouldn't use my questions while I'm at a supermarket waiting in line.
no.
Uh, Although that might not be too bad, but a bit awkward.
It's awkward. There's not really enough time, checking it. Some of them go real slow, but
Right,
most of
yeah.
them go at a pretty steady pace.
You choose that. That's the line to choose.
Yeah,
Although I
I
found that the conversations last on average, because I've been recording these hundreds of conversations,
mm,
which I put on a social media platform. I put them on YouTube for people to listen to. They last on average about 2 minutes and a half.
mm,
Yeah, people answer everything they have to say, those three questions, and tell me a little bit about themselves in 2 minutes and a half. Now that's that could be a pretty long line. I don't know, but
yeah,
it happens. Um,
it does.
you know,
I'm surprised though that it's such a short period of time to get the questions answered
mhm.
and a little bit about themselves. I thought it would have been at least 4 or 5 minutes.
Yes, some do. I mean,
Yeah.
after the questions, we often have another conversation
Mm,
afterwards if they ask me how I feel about, politics in the United States, or the why and the why I'm doing this. Um, and if somebody, is not an artist, doesn't have this purpose, the reason why you would ask somebody else is plainly to reestablish communication
mm,
with others in these habits. And everybody seems to relate to that, um, because we all know deep down inside that we're losing this uh, fundamental part of our history, which is face-to-face communication. And we've surrendered a bit to, well, we've surrendering to our devices for that
yeah.
communication. Yeah.
You're also to the devices, and the devices are taking advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're making a buck off of us.
Well, yeah, well, I
And
just
nobody
had a
wants to be
gentleman on
taken
that says
advantage of.
I just had a gentleman on that says there's
Mm.
no such thing as money.
Oh, I got to listen to that episode.
In fact, the name of it is Freedom with Equity.
Freedom from equity. From
With
equity,
Freedom with Equity.
with equity. Freedom
Yeah,
with.
it's not. I haven't got it published yet, but
Okay.
it's
Oh,
coming pretty soon.
well, I'll look forward to listening to that one. That's an
Yeah,
interesting concept.
yeah.
Mm.
There is no money.
I mean,
Don't.
there's almost like a philosophical question. Uh, yeah, I could spend a lot of time into
Yeah.
those directions.
Yeah, we
Mm.
had quite an interesting discussion on money and what it was and what it wasn't.
Mm.
I think this does. And then I brought up the subject that back in the Roman days, they paid you in salt. Was that money?
Mm. Bartering, bartering and exchanges. So there've been a lot of communication at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because salt was the medium of exchange.
right. Yeah. Yeah, goods and our exchanges. It's true that now, just on the subject, that would mean that our financial transactions lack in communication as well. They're pretty
Yeah.
dry, just of a press of a button.
Mm-hmm.
It means we can buy more stuff. I guess it
Yep.
fuels the machine.
Buy another computer.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to buy an office phone. Uh,
Uh,
but we spend so much time on television
mm-hmm.
and movies.
Mm,
Although they're getting movies are going downhill quite a bit
mm,
because of the television live streaming.
mm.
Computers again are coming down and taking over a lot of these things. And I don't disagree with having computers and the abilities and the things that they help us with. But what I disagree with is we're just getting too dependent on them.
Mm.
We need to be, I think, cut back off just a little. Let's go back and do it all work. And I gotta admit, I'm guilty. I use the computer a lot for research.
As a resource,
Yeah.
it sounds like if you have a big buffet and
Yep.
you always eat at the dessert counter, well, you're gonna get, it's not gonna be very healthy for you. And
No.
you gotta eat some vegetables from time to time.
Fine. No, I don't. I don't
It
do
just doesn't
veggies.
it doesn't taste as good. But if you want to live longer, as if
Yeah.
you want society to keep on going, we're gonna have to eat more vegetables. Cut out on the salt and fat or something.
I
Mm.
What are some techniques to engage people in controversial discourse?
Well, like I described it, is to, here it is, that it's to have an excuse to have that conversation, to
Hmm.
have that discourse. And like your podcast right here is an example of a tool to offer an opportunity for discourse with people you disagree with. Something that they hear, and they go, I heard something on a podcast, and it said this, and what do you think about it? Right? And
Right.
to ask questions and listen back, they're all tools that bring us in discussion.
Hmm.
I do feel like the discussion over money, communication, AI is probably on the better side of the buffet
Yeah.
than just
The
talking about the
veggies.
latest episodes that we saw um, on our favorite
TV
film
show.
network or whatever.
Yeah.
That's on the sugary side. So we got to
That's,
balance our diet, our intake. We have a fantastic, I'm gonna make a lot of examples of this buffet. But, we got to watch out what we're eating because we got this is a lot to eat.
Mhm.
There's a lot of choices, and it takes discipline and some courage, but the outcome is better for us and for others. Um, so communication is a question first of choice and taking action. Mm,
That's right. The choice comes before the action always.
yeah.
And I've got a 42-inch TV screen right behind me. It
Oh,
hasn't
is
been
that,
on in 3 weeks. No, you can't see it because I
oh,
got the
okay.
screen blocked, but uh, it hasn't been on in 3 months.
Oh, wow. Wow. That takes some discipline.
I sit there and listen to music on Pandora all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That's just, I don't care for television or movies or sports.
Right. Okay. So about vulnerabilities, I've often found myself in a form, not a bit, well, I guess a bit of addiction on the sugar side of
Yeah,
the entertainment platform of watching lots of movies, watching lots of series. And I just had to cut off and say no more series because or if I do get caught up, I just go straight to the last one and kind of sabotage the whole thing. And
yeah.
then I know what happens at the end. So
Well,
stop
the
watching that.
last time I really watched any television, I watched the entire every season, every show of Hogan's Heroes.
Well, that's humorous and fun.
That was the last time the TV was on. I'm going, this is ridiculous.
The hour spent at it.
Yeah.
Uh, there is also the question as, okay, well, it's all well said to say to do this, right? To communicate with strangers is questioning like, where do you find them, right? And I've given myself a mission, if you like. So I go all the way to a national park at my expense to speak to people.
Hmm.
But it is about, where can I do it closer to home? So after doing hundreds of these exchanges, I found like, you know what? You better do what you preach. So I found myself going to my address book to call and speak to people that I had said no more. I'm no longer speaking to that person, but remembering that we did have things in common and making the step to communicate with them.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of an ego crusher because you're the one that's taken the step and maybe I don't know, you want to have the higher ground or whatever.
Yeah. You want to take,
You
yeah,
got
I see what you're saying.
mhm.
I did the same thing just recently with my boys and I are estranged. So I did a whole podcast just for the boys.
Oh, right on. Ah, you see that? That's
So I said, I'm sorry, whatever happened, I'm sorry. I don't know exactly what it was that happened in 2014. It happened. I don't know exactly what it was, but I called them up, said, I'm sorry.
wow.
We'll see what
Wow.
happens if they get a hold of it.
Hmm.
Pretty intense. I had a priest and a chaplain questioning me on my show.
Wow.
It's called Bonds of Love, if you want to watch it.
Oh, I didn't listen to that one, but I saw the name of it. Yeah, Bonds. There was two. Was there two? Like there
Oh, they're
there
just
just
Bonds of Love. It's
the
just
one.
one.
Just one.
It's good.
Well, yeah.
It's,
Well, the outcome of these things, we
we
don't
just
know.
got to wait and see.
Yeah, you got to wait and see. You can't expect and I'm talking about me, a reward for taking certain actions.
No,
No, it has to be a selfless act. Although you get things in return. If I do hope that you did your son call you or
no,
get back?
I have three boys, and none
Three
of them
boys.
have contacted me yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope they do. And
Well,
I know you're going to listen, so
I got another one,
okay, go
a
for it.
plan here. My granddaughter, I see her on Facebook all the time, so I'm
Okay.
gonna write a DM to her and see what I can get her to do.
Mm. Years and years ago, as I was a kid, it's about 10 years old, I'd found out that my father was adopted.
Hmm.
And therefore my grandfather was not my biological grandfather.
Oh,
And I loved him dearly, but I was very curious about meeting who
you
the other
better.
grandfather was. And I did. This is a time of phone books, so I spent a good part of my summer, whenever I had a chance, making phone calls, finding everybody that had that same last name,
Yeah,
and I found him.
good.
Yeah, I found him, and he knew about me.
Yeah,
I'd never heard about him
yeah.
until then. And he, from another relative, he had heard about it. And I got my father to see his biological father after 40 years.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so it was a very, I attribute that experience a little bit to what I'm doing today.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of joins together that.
Yeah, this far off bet, you don't know
No,
what you're putting out there, and it could come back.
yeah, it
Or
very well could.
and you might not be there to see it, but the action does have
Yeah.
um, hopefully has a positive effect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure does. So we'll just see
And
what
that's
happens
the
with the
motivation.
boys. And
Mm.
congratulations on finding your grandfather.
Well, thank you.
That's simply amazing. You
Yeah,
hear
right
about
from
that all
what?
the time when people find them using the
Mm.
computer.
Right. With a computer, it would have been even easier to find them. This is back in the early 80s or something.
Oh, you wasn't much computer work then.
Nope. A lot of, what was the number? 411 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Operator, give me this number. Say, we're running low on time, and I know
Hmm? Sorry?
we're running low on time, and a couple of things I
Okay.
want to say.
Yes,
I
please.
want a couple of things I want you to say. Give you an opportunity to say what you need to say. But I am converting all of my podcasts to MP3s
Okay.
and MP4s because I get paid for doing that.
I
So
got
I
it.
want the
Yes.
money. I'm
Yes.
greedy. I'm greedy. I'll admit it. I
No,
made
you need
nine
to eat.
cents. Last month I made 9 cents. But to keep the fact that the burning of it takes the video out and you don't have that anymore, just get this reaction like you and I are getting here.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do is if they want them, I send them, once I get it edited and published, I send you a copy of it before I convert it. So you have what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the copyright holder. Because anytime you publish anything, you get the copyright. But I
Mm-hmm.
give you verbal permission to use it in whatever platform you need to use it in,
I
if
see.
you want it. And you get it through a program. It's an app called Read Transfer, and it's free to you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you get it, just download it, and there you are.
And then just use it and
Just
just
use it.
spread it out.
That's
And we
right.
have another conversation out there.
Yeah,
I like that. That's really good.
you bet.
I
So as soon
like
as I
that.
get you edited and ready to publish, I may even have it published before I get it to you, but you will get it.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Better write it down or I'll forget it. David, it has been an
Yeah.
incredible hour. It went by so fast I can't believe it.
I know. I'm surprised. Yeah, it is an hour. There it goes.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
it was a pleasure thank you for taking me to some thoughts and ideas that I hadn't had before, and kind of through your presence
okay,
guide me through there, and and I look forward to integrating some of that in my future art
good.
installations.
And what's the last thing you want people to hear from you? Not the last thing for you permanently, but from the podcast. What's the last thing you want to say to them?
Well, it's just to go out there and have that conversation with somebody. As a, I'd invite people to, if they want to know what the questions are and see some examples, listen to some examples, and see what I'm doing in my wacky art project, they got to go to YouTube and then they type in triptych dialogue. That's my project. And that's TRIPTYCH, triptych. And dialogue, DIALOGUE. And there they'll see something different there.
Yeah,
For
you got a
sure.
website, I assume.
Yeah, I don't do, you know what? I don't do a website. I don't have other social media. I'm
Oh,
just doing
okay.
YouTube. I did
That's
that experiment on Instagram. I ended it on 365 days. People can go see that, but
yeah.
it's a finished project.
All
But
right.
they'll get a link to that through the YouTube channel too.
All right. So anyway, you have a great life, and if you ever get to call Denver in the area, look me up.
Thank you. Denver's just up the way from Santa Fe, New
It
Mexico.
is. It's not very far. So have a great life. Have a great time. Keep your projects going. And if you get up this way, look me up. I'm in Littleton.
And where?
Littleton.
Littleton. Okay, yes, yes,
Yeah.
very good.
All right. So I see you
Take
then,
care.
David.
Have a great day.
You too.
Welcome to Coffee Time Again, a podcast dedicated to thoughtful, respectful dialogue on a wide range of topics. For over 6 years, we've created a space where ideas flow freely and stories come to life. With more than 100 episodes, we've grown from simple audio recordings into dynamic interview-style video conversations that connect people and perspectives. What began as a way to share blog posts has evolved into a passion for meaningful discussion. From research topics and preparing questions to hosting hour-long interviews, every episode is crafted with curiosity and care. Our mission is simple: to spark conversations that inform, challenge, and entertain. Whether you're here for insight, stories, or simply a good chat, you'll find it all at Coffee Time Again. As we move forward with a fresh professional rebrand, expect cleaner production, sharper content, and the same commitment to authentic dialogue. Grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and join the conversation, because here, conversations truly begin.